to say welcome. Welcome to everybody. I want to extend a special thank you to all of our new attendees and continued gratitude to those who continue to join us month after month. If you like what you're learning here, please make sure that you share our group events with others. Part of our vision as we continue to create an agile environment which focuses on people is to continue focusing on you. So feel free, please reach out to us, share your thoughts about our current session, our past sessions, and let us know what you'd like to see as we move forward into the future. Before we get entangled in tonight's topic, because I know we're all going to be super busy drawing and having tons of fun, I want to just take a moment to share with you what we're going to be doing next month so you can get that on your calendar. So we're going to have an amazing panel. So Nizar Koha, and I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, so Julie, correct me if I'm wrong, Director of Business Agility at RBC, Jason Molesworth, Chief Strategist at Business Agility Consulting Group, and Scott Evans, Transformation Coach at Matrix Resources, are all going to be here in June for an interactive and live discussion with all of us. So go ahead and block your calendars now. It's the third Thursday, which is June 17th, and there will be more details posted to the meetup group here real soon. Now, let's get started with tonight's session. I would like to say that Marc Hundleby, up there in that little guy up in the top left, he's a really great friend of mine. Marc and I met a few years ago at an intensive leadership program. And aside from being an amazing person, Marc has a genuine appreciation for continuous growth and development like few others I've ever met. He's a professional coach, facilitator, mentor, vocabulary trainer, and an amazing illustrator. So I feel so fortunate that he's agreed to be here with us today, all the way from Australia. So Marc, as I pass the ball over to you, I just want to send to you a thank you for agreeing to spend time here with us tonight and to share your talents with us. So I know that you're all the way on the other side of the world, and I appreciate you being here.
Thanks, Ange. It's my pleasure to be here. I should have probably flipped myself upside down to illustrate down under.
Next time.
Yeah, next time. So what I'd like to do to get started is just to make sure that everyone's got some sort of pen, paper, probably A4, I think. Do you say letter in America instead of A4? So some pens of some sort. Ideally, something that's at least a black one. If you've got some colored ones or shading ones, that'd be great. But definitely a black one. And if you've got a Sharpie, something that's quite, reasonably thick, then if we share, then we can see each other's work. So can I get a thumbs up for people just to make sure that we've got the right materials, or at least some materials with you? Okay, awesome. We're going to rip the Band-Aid off straight away and tackle the inner critic as a check-in at the same time. So we're going to get you drawing straight away and then sharing that. So I just want to ask, who gets nervous drawing in front of people, or who has never drawn in front of people before? Reasonable.
Sometimes I'm horrible.
I should ask, is anyone here a professional illustrator? Okay, that's good. Because you're in the wrong place if you are. So one thing that we're going to do together is to tackle our inner critic. So I just want you to have a bit of fun. If you've got a piece of paper or a Post-it note, just to draw. And you can draw whatever you want, but make up something that could be kind of funny. So I'm going to draw like a little monster. Kind of put some, I don't know, hairy legs. And then a bit of a a bit of a smile with a tooth and maybe some antennas. Something like that. You can draw whatever you like. And then just give me an indication of when you're done. And then maybe Angie, if you've got a full screen, when we show our little monsters, we can take a quick picture of it.
Okay.
How's everyone going with their monster?
I'm good.
Okay. Does everyone want to hold up their monsters? Nice. Oh, someone's drawn a dog.
He's my monster. That's my own personal monster.
So, okay, that might be tough with your dog. But what I want you to do is, this is your inner critic. So that voice inside your head is not helpful. So just get your little inner critic, scrunch it up. And then if you've got a bin nearby, you can just chuck it in the bin. So inner critic is not helpful. And we are going to show you, or I'm going to show you, that it's not about, we're not creating art here. We're drawing to create visual images that will help aid communication. So I'd just like to do a quick check-in and ask if you can put in the chat. Does everyone know how to use the chat? So just put in the chat what you'd like to get out of the session. And I
Learn something new, a couple of new techniques for drawing and facilitating, helping everyone start their visualization journey, simple visuals I can use to communicate, easy ways to represent things visually, learn new ways to engage my remote team, the ability to add some fun visuals to facilitation, better visual ideas, basics. So I'm able to start visualizing, becoming more comfortable with visuals, visualization, not using standard emojis.
Okay, awesome. Well, you're definitely in the right place and we can help with that. So here's our agenda for today. So Angie's kindly done a bit of a welcome. I will talk very briefly about some background, or my background. We've kind of done the check-in. We've got rid of our inner critic. So this weird thing called Vocablo, that I'm a certified Vocablo trainer, was something that changed my life. So I used to be a kind of an agile coach and a program manager, and I was utterly miserable in my job. I really like doing creative things, and I just wasn't being creative at all. And someone said, hey, why don't you go on this Vocablo course? So Vocablo is a made-up word from 3 German words called, the first 2 letters are Bilder, the next word is Karten, K-A, and then BLO from block, which basically means picture card pad. Now, the Vocablo product that they created was this book. So picture card pad in English, or Builder Karten Block. So it's kind of weird name. Head office for Vocablo is in Germany, and I'm one of the global certified trainers. And we have trainers around the world. And I guess most people are in America on the call. So we have a wonderful trainer in America called Jill Greenbaum. So I can't teach you Vocablo unless you are in Australia. So each of us looks after our various regions. And what is this vocablo thing? So vocablo originated from a communications company called Kommunikationslotsen, which basically means communication pilot. And they used to draw visually for a lot of their clients. And their clients used to say, oh, we wish we could draw. Could you teach us how to draw? So they said, well, how can we create a product where we can teach anybody to draw, no matter what? So that's where the birthplace of vocablo came. So they spent 12 years making sure that they created a product and a teaching methodology that they guarantee that they can teach anyone to draw. So that's what our guarantee is. So we can teach you how to draw in 2 days, or we'll give you money back. And the thing is, that little inner critic that we were dealing with before, that's saying, oh, I can't draw, I don't have the artistic talent. It's not about that. It's about breaking things down to the most basic and simple way and learning a technique, like learning a new language. So we'll teach you, when you're learning a language, you'll teach you, you learn letters first, then words, and then putting sentences and paragraphs together and then telling a story. So I'll tell you when you can start drawing. We'll get drawing pretty quickly. So, oh, there's a good start, Mark. I've lost my pen. Good job, I've got a backup. So why work visually? So we've got this thing here called a head. And we'll put a little smiley face, some eyes. And inside that thing is a brain. And often, even between the brain and the mouth, there can be a disconnect. So have you ever thought something and then when it came out of your mouth, it was different? And then you think, oh, that's not what I meant to say. So what we do in terms of using visuals or a pen, and I'm just drawing very simply and quickly. And this is as advanced as it's going to get today. So imagine this is a large sheet of paper. So these crazy thoughts that are in your head that you're trying to get down or communicate, by actually writing them down on the paper, you're using the other side of your brain, and you're forcing yourself to think of the content differently and put it down on paper. And the first time you put it down, it may not be right. But by putting it down on paper, it then suddenly sparks responses and reactions and ideas from other people. And if you can get them to then clarify and say, oh, is that what you mean? So now what's in your brain is coming out of your mouth, or using a pen instead, onto paper. It's being seen visually. It's engaging another part of someone else's brain. And then if they start sharing their ideas, you get this beautiful conversation and flow on paper. So that's when we're using it for graphic recording, visual facilitation, different scenarios like that. There doesn't have to be anyone else involved. It can just be to help yourself to gather your thoughts. So I'm going to do something a little bit experimental here. And I don't know how it'll go, but we shall see. So what we've done by drawing is expose what's going on in this crazy brain of ours. So those intangible thoughts are now tangible. I'm going to test you now with something and ask you a question. So how many people are from the Agile community?
Yep.
Okay, so if I said to you, can you tell me or recite all of the Agile principles word by word. Could you do it?
No.
No.
I do think so. Chris could probably do it, but I can't do it.
So yeah.
Chris is shaking her head no.
So yeah, being honest, even we've been working in the space for a long time. I could not recite them word for word. So let's say one of them might happen to be our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery. And it says a valuable software here, but a delivery of something. So yes, that's one of the principles. But if you put it through a filter and actually drew something that was a key image for yourself. So now imagine if you thought of the customer being the highest priority, number one, so standing on a podium, and then people are bringing that customer regular gifts or presents, then hopefully you should be able to remember that much, much better. So that's creating something, some content, some visuals in context. Now, in around, I think it was around about 2009, a psychologist called Jackie Andrade did an experiment with some humans. She gave two control groups, one control group, she asked both the control groups to listen to quite a mundane voice message on the telephone. And half the control group, she asked them, whilst you're listening to this voice message, to just doodle, just color in or shade in some shapes. So they did. And the other group, they just listened to the message. They didn't know it was going to be a test at the end, but at the end of the session, I'm just finding my other pen. At the end of the session, they were asked to recall the information. The people that just randomly doodled and colored things in while they were while they were listening to the message had 29% greater retention, which is incredible. So people use it for thought sketching. They're listening to a lecture, they start drawing little images, and it helps them remember and connect to the information. And the reason for this is that our brains are actually wired to process sensory perceptions, feelings, and experiences, not necessarily numbers, letters, or abstract concepts. Are there any questions around this? So a very quick introduction to why we might use visualization in the workplace. No? Okay. Now we're going to start teaching you how to draw. So we'll start off with the basics. So if you can grab an A4 sheet of paper. We'll get stuck in.
That's just a standard 8.5 by 11, right, Mark? Regular sheet of paper.
In centimeters. Yeah, I think it's standard letter, I think you call it, or yeah, we call like it A4. Yeah. So what's the smallest shape I can make with a pen, or mark I can make with a pen?
A dot.
Sorry. Dot. Yeah. Okay, a dot. So if you want to make a little dot, and then moving up from that.
Maybe a little line.
A little line. Yeah. Or even a dash. And then going to the next level, a longer line. And that's it. That's all you're doing, right? You're just drawing with a pen, and you're only making lines. So there's not much else to it. That's it. The end of instruction today. You don't need anything more. Thanks for coming. Awesome.
Morse code for help.
But believe it or not, with those very simple things there, a dot, some dashes, and a longer line, we can start making shapes. So these are like our little letters. So maybe those are, when at school, I couldn't say A, B, C. It was started off with A, B, K, right? So there are little ABCs. And if I combine a few lines, so if I draw one line like that, and you can draw along with me too, draw another line like that, roughly the same length. And now I'm using a little dot to indicate where I want to go next. And I'm drawing another line and then another line, i.e. 4 lines. I made a square. And what I did was being slow and quite deliberate to make sure that all the corners meet up quite neatly rather than rushing it. Now I'm going to start here and draw 3 lines, starting here, going down at an angle, 45 degrees. I'm going to put another dot just as an indicator of where I want to head with my next lines to try and get it to an even shape or size. And then I'm going to close out the triangle. I'm not going to ask you what another shape is because it's already up there at the top, but we can draw a circle as well. This is a little bit trickier in terms of starting and ending. So I like to start at 12 o'clock and then kind of just go around and hopefully meet again roughly about 12 o'clock again. And that takes a little bit of practice. You might like to start at a different point on the clock, and you might like to go clockwise or anti-clockwise. In order to find out your groove, what you can do is you can start in the center and try doing a little spiral and do that anti-clockwise, and then start in the center and draw a spiral the other way and see which way feels more natural for you. There might be a more natural way for you, anti-clockwise, clockwise. But essentially, we're just drawing the basic shapes, which is learning our visual language, the ABCs. So in vocabulary, we have a few other basic shapes that we do. So I could draw the same thing here, but this time I'm going to draw a rectangle. So as a rectangle, I draw a line, I draw a slightly longer line and another longer line, and then close them up. So I've got a rectangle. And instead of drawing the full circle, I can draw half circles. So I can draw a half circle facing this way or a half circle facing the other way. Can you just give me an indication of this is okay pace? Faster, slower, about right?
Got a bunch of thumbs up, Mark.
Okay, great. Another shape we use in vocabulary is this kind of like a sine wave, like a shallow sine wave or a sort of S curve. And then another one is just sort of, this one's a little bit trickier to draw. So I'm drawing like a little quarter circle or a little curve. And then I'm drawing another one. I'm trying to join them together, and I can go that way or the other way. So that would be like, I don't know, like a surfboard fin, something like that for any surfers out there. And I don't even know, this is a terrible thing to admit, geography wise, I don't know where Minnesota is. So I'm not sure if you're inland or on the coast.
We definitely don't have sharks here. We're inland.
There is surfing though near my place on Lake Superior, occasionally.
Okay. What else could it be? It could be an upside down shark's fin, right? Mm-hmm. Something like that. Another shape we do is like we combine these little half circles and do a few of them together. So like a 4 continuous U, something like that. And we can also do it the other way. So just be nice and slow and precise. Now, believe it or not, okay, there are some variations. So we've got a line. I could also draw that line again there, or I could go a little bit lighter and even lighter still. So I can vary the weight of the lines, but for visual communication, we like to do it nice and bold so that it can be seen from a distance. So you imagine someone talking, they're speaking with a nice, bold, strong voice. Whereas the thinner line is a bit is more like whispering, less confident. So we want, if we're drawing or we're using visuals, we want people to see it at the back of the room. Or if we're doing it digitally, we would need to make sure that the line is thick enough so that it can be seen from a distance. So these are our little ABCs. So I'm going to write ABC now, and you'll realize that by writing, I'm drawing one line, A, I'm drawing another line, I'm drawing 3 lines. If I draw B, I'm using the line and then some of these basic shapes, half circle facing that way. I'm just drawing, I'll just admit them, Angie. Someone on their iPhone, that could be a challenge for them. And then I'm drawing a half circle this way. So there's our ABC. So you can see that the basics are in writing. So if you practice handwriting, it's a very good way of accelerating the learning of your new visual language. And now I am actually not joking, but that is it. With those shapes, you can do pretty much everything that you need to in terms of visual communication. So I'm going to ask a question, and I find my other pen. There it is. What can I draw if I combine this one, and this one? You're not allowed to answer this, Angie.
I know.
Shoot me.
Any ideas?
Angie. Give me a clue.
Yeah, you want me to send you a private chat message?
Yeah, okay. Exactly.
Okay, so I'll draw it for you. So and give yourself a bit of space now. So I'm drawing a balloon. I'm going a bit bigger now, but I'm drawing a circle. So this one. And then I'm going to change the proportion. So I'm going to use the triangle now. A small one. And then the S curve. Ta-da! And I'm just going to do a little fancy shade in there. But you can see by combining these 3 basic shapes, we've drawn an icon or a picture. And when we're doing this, whatever we're looking at, we're looking for basic shapes. So what's the biggest basic shape, and start with that. I'm going to draw a variation on that now. I'm going to draw another circle. And then I'm going to draw a rectangle below it. Anyone guess what this might be?
Hot air balloon?
Yes, a hot air balloon. So I'm drawing 4 lines now. There we have it, a hot air balloon. and I can create another basic shape or icon from this one. So I'm going to draw kind of a little elongated half circle. And then I'm going to use those funny upside down U's that are connected together. 1, 2, 3. You must be able to guess what this one is.
Mm.
And then a line down.
Parachute.
It could be a parachute, but in this case, I've drawn an umbrella. But a parachute, you could do that, something like that. So what's the point of all these pictures that we're drawing? We can use them for metaphors. So I'm going to draw this one now and a version of this one. And I'll do it in the space I've got left in the corner. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to draw like a sort of upside down one of those. I'm just going to shade in. Okay, what's that? A drawing of?
That's a shark.
Yeah, a shark fin. But what could that represent?
Danger.
Danger.
Perfect. Danger. Anything else?
Yeah, in the chat is risk.
Oh yeah, risk. Thanks, Ange. So danger, risk, Jaws, that one of my favorite movies. Somebody said once, used car salespeople. So we can create this visual language that then starts to have meaning, or we can use it for metaphor. So we're going to go on to the next now, which is creating some icons. Are there any questions around just those basics? So the key to the basics is, what is the biggest basic shape that I could use? Like with the balloon, we had the big circle, and then we changed the proportions around. We had a small triangle and then the S. So whenever I'm creating icons, I'm looking at what's the biggest shape first, draw that, and then put everything else together. So we're going to do some icons now.
I have a quick question.
Yes, Sharon?
What's the rule for shading? How do you know where to put the shading?
Shading is, we use a little trick in Vocablo, which is, I'll show you very quickly. So in the Vocablo universe or Sunniverse, the sun is always in the top left-hand corner of the world. So if we're then drawing an object, if the sun is coming from up here, where would the shadow fall?
On the right side of the...
Yeah.
Lower and right.
Lower and right. So we use a little technique here. So I'm coming slightly in and slightly down. This is not what I was planning on teaching you today, but it's okay. I try and help you as much as I can. Then we go use some sort of shading pen and go down, and I'm stopping at the bottom. And then I'm also going across. So you can see it's created like a little drop shadow on the floor. So whereas an artist might be thinking, well, where's the sun positioned today or at this present time? We're making it really simple to say, sun's always up here, shadow is always down there. So it takes that thinking away, so that if you're in the middle of flow and you're using this for a visual session, you're not trying to think, oh my gosh, where's the sun? which way am I putting the shadow? We're just trying to make everything as easy so you don't have to think about it. So where's my light bulb? I've got all these icons on the wall. Oh, it doesn't matter. I'll get another one. Let's see. I'll grab this one. So Vocablo has this set of icons that it uses. And these are the icon set that we use for visual facilitation. On the back of it is some words. So it could mean focus, search, details, specialization, analysis. It can mean lots of different things. So this is our, we're building on our language now. So we're adding our words and metaphors that can go into our visual sentences. So to draw this, we can draw it together. I'm going to draw the biggest thing first, which is a circle. So I'm going to draw the outer circle. Not the best drawing, but that's okay in terms of circles. It's not about perfection. What we're after is, can people understand what I'm trying to do? And then I'm going to draw another circle inside it, like that. And then really, I've got what's next? 1, 2, 3, 4 lines, which we've already drawn before. One line, draw another little line, another line, and finish it off with that. And then this is like advanced that we normally sort of teach you in the Vocablo training, but it's sort of got a little effect there, which is making it look like it's got a shine or glass. So that's how we create icons. Awesome. Nice work, Julie, for sharing. Now, in the next exercise, we're just going to have some fun and draw a couple more things that maybe we don't know what's going to come up. So I've got a little tool that I'm going to use. And when you're doing it, just think about proportions and what to draw first, second, third, and just play around with it. We're just having fun here. So I'm going to bring up, whoop, not that. Can everyone see that on the screen?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to start. It's a Vocablo icon generator. So I'm just going to kick it off, and then wherever it lands, we will draw whatever. So this is the visual language that Vocablo has created. So I think there's about 120, 140 of these icons, all using those simple basic shapes that we've already learned. So if someone wants to call out stop or shout out stop, I'll stop it at a random place. Anyone want to shout stop? Stop. Oh, we've already drawn that one. I'll spin it again. do you want another go at drawing this, or just spin it again?
Spin again.
Spin again.
Spin again. All right.
Stop.
Nice. Okay.
Ooh.
So this is an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want to have a go at drawing that? Remembering that we're starting, try and start with the biggest thing first. So we'll spend maybe a minute to draw it. And while we're drawing that, maybe does anyone want to sort of call out how you could use the weather or an icon like this, what it could be used for to illustrate or communicate?
I was thinking, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I just said hope.
Oh yeah, hope. And
nice.
then
Happy path.
streetcar chatted mood.
Yeah.
I was thinking of how to use it, like in a retrospective or a meeting check-in, check-out.
Yeah, perfect. You could ask people to draw the weather above their head for how they're feeling in terms of a check-in, check-out. So it's extremely versatile and very simple to draw. So do people want to share their little attempts at that one? Nice. Some very, very neat icons there. Good job.
Wow.
Okay, we'll spin one more and draw another one. Let's see if we can get a really tricky one. And I'm saying that because it's not really possible because we showed you how to do it, so you can actually draw any of these now. Okay, who wants to shout out?
Stop.
Oh, nice.
Ooh, fun.
Ooh, a car.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll have spend maybe 2 minutes to draw the car. So you can see here, there's a couple of basic shapes, right? The circles, small ones. Some lines. And obviously one of the lines is curved, or a couple of the lines are curved. But when you just break it down into small chunks, it's super easy to do. And if you want, you can put like little speed lines on there as well to show movement. Okay. Does everyone want to share their cars? Nice, Ange. Good job, Jeff. Nice, Sharon. Good job, Cheryl. Shrika, nice. It's working. Someone's even drawn some like headlights coming out of their car too. Okay. So going back to our little drawings, you can combine words and pictures for clarification. Sometimes you need to be able to make it even clearer as to what your intention is. And I'll try and draw a couple of things which you can, I don't know, have some fun and draw along with me. So a big toe and 4 little ones, and then a couple of curvy lines, essentially drawing 2 feet. Yeah. But imagine if you had an instruction to someone that says, stand 2 feet away from the danger. So someone might say, oh, I'm standing, my 2 feet are away from the danger, or do we mean something slightly different? So this is where we use a picture with some text, and we see these little boxes, we call them containers. And a little trick that if you go to a vocabulary course, you also learn about putting a container around the paper, which finishes it off and it makes it look really nice, and so that things aren't just floating on the page. So we use it to make sure that the meaning is very clear. So our balloon could mean romance, it could mean adventure, it could mean joy, it could mean different things. So if we need to steer to make sure that people understand what we're trying to convey, that's when we use pictures and words. And sometimes it's very difficult to actually draw something. So if you're in a tight spot, you don't have to draw everything, just write the word. That's the secret trick. Now, there's an amazing thing that we've already learned how to draw, which is so powerful, and it can be used in lots of things, using one line and 2 others. Dun, dun, dun. And this is called the mighty arrow. So I could probably do a 4-hour session just on the arrow and all the uses for an arrow. But just to show you how versatile the arrow is, I can use it for overcoming obstacles, collisions, evading, avoiding, rebound, intersection, indicating, putting something in, taking out, and oscillation. And it goes on. So I could draw a little rectangle like that, and then draw an arrow around it, overcoming an obstacle. We could draw 2 arrows coming together, and you could draw a little sort of indication of some collision. This could be a collision of thoughts, different ideas. I could use it to show something evading or avoiding a collision. If I was to draw a straight line down, as if that's a wall, I could have my arrow bouncing off the wall, rebounding. I could use it as for a circle and then a dashed line, an intersection or intersecting something. I'll draw one of our little half circles like that. Put some liquid in it. So this could be, I've got an arrow putting something in. Taking something out. And now I'm drawing 2 vertical lines. So that could be 2 walls, or it could be anything you want to convey. So this could be an idea oscillating, or an idea oscillating between different viewpoints. So I can use the little arrow for oscillation, and so on and so forth. So it's incredibly powerful. So what has all this got to do with Agile? Why would I want to use this? Imagine if you were coaching someone, and I might need to adjust my camera here because it's set up for landscape, but I need to draw a few different things in portrait. So just bear with me 1 second. I need to make sure I get it the right way up. Which way is up? No. I might just have to extend this so you can see the whole paper. So the proportions have gone a bit funny here because I'm extending this. But imagine you're coaching someone and you're just asking them questions and they're looking at a blank piece of paper or a Miro board or mural board. It's not as engaging as actually using visualization or drawing visuals. So by using visuals, you can take people on a journey and you can take them into different worlds. So I'm going to show you a template that you can use for retros, coaching sessions for groups, coaching sessions for individuals. So if you grab yourself a clean blank sheet of paper, I'll show you how to create a template. And what you can do is use this for, you can create it, pre-draw it for a session, or you could draw it as you're preparing the set for the session, like when people are coming into the room, or you could actually draw it live with the person and take them on that journey. But let's say you're coaching an individual. So this, I'm just going to write at the top, coaching. So imagine now that this is a large flip chart. And whatever you want for that title. And then I'm just going to draw a couple of lines and I'm stopping there where the G is sort of hanging down, or the tail of the G. And then I'm just going to go across there. So it's like forming a very simple banner. Now, our good old hot air balloon that we've drawn before, now I'm going to draw a bigger version of it, but I'm not only going to draw part of the balloon. So if you can draw a large shape like that, or curve that goes from the left of your page to the right. And then we've done this before with our little rectangle. So I'm going to draw a rectangle in the middle, leaving my space between the rectangle and the balloon. And now I'm going to use this. In Vocabulary, we have very quick ways of drawing people. So I just quickly draw someone like this. So like the torso and then a head on top with a little oval. And if I want to draw a team, I can do 1, 2, 3, 4. Really quickly show people. And I always draw 4 because I know that I can just fit the word team in there. So I don't have to think about it. So individuals, team. So if this is group coaching template, you might put multiple people in, but I'm just going to say this is for you. This is coaching for your visual journey. So there's you inside the little basket of our balloon. Then I'm going to draw those good old lines that we drew before. 1, 2, 3, and then 4. That's the ropes holding the basket on. And then down here, I've just got kind of the ground. And there you have, oh, actually, I'll just close to the edge, I'm drawing a straight line down. And then a straight line down on this edge. And I'm just going to quickly shade it. So showing you how to create a bit of a template that you can use. So the beauty of doing this is, and creating visuals, instead of having a blank piece of paper and just trying to ask questions, even if they're great questions, great coaching questions, you're not connecting in the same way. However, someone may have been in a balloon before, a hot air balloon. Someone might want to go in a hot air balloon. Even if they haven't, even if they're not interested in, you're asking them, could you imagine being in a hot air balloon? So you're taking them into a different world where they may just start opening up. And it seems very like a subtle difference, but it's actually incredibly powerful. So let's say this is you now. So there's your template. This is you, and we're coaching you on your visual journey. So let's say if you want to continue this journey, what might be holding you back? And maybe you can just write, if you have space, some things that might hold you back from your journey as a visual practitioner. So, what's holding me back? And then maybe in here, what's giving me lift? Or what inspires me? Whatever you want, essentially. This is your template, you can use it for anything. And you can draw a little, there's little sort of bags on the side. So you could indicate these being let go of, or what do I need to let go of? So now imagine you're running a coaching session with a team, i.e. a group. So it could be group coaching or individual. And this could be large scale format. And these areas of text could be post-it notes. And then you can actually use color. So you could do brainstorming with that person. They come up with ideas. And then you can use color to then go review it. So you could say, okay, so you've said, did I understand this correctly? And then you start actually highlighting as you're talking about the conversation. And I guess reframing, paraphrasing that discussion you've just had. So incredibly versatile. They can be prepared before or during, depending on your comfort level with drawing. So that's a little giveaway. Now, would you be comfortable? Who needs a bit more time to draw their template? Are you okay with that?
I'm not seeing anybody asking for more time.
Okay, awesome.
Oh, a couple pictures. Yeah, there we go.
Nice. Let's see, maybe if you can grab your phones, if you've got a phone near, it'd be nice to create a bit of a gallery. So if you can, let me just adjust this back down. If you can open up your camera, then it should take you, just try it. My phone is hidden under a pile of paper, so I can't actually get it. Did that work, Ange?
That worked for me. I got into Padlet.com.
Padlet, awesome. So if you could take a photo of your coaching template and then just upload it to Padlet. So Padlet is a free app that you can use for also as a tool for, I don't know, just making things more engaging. So obviously we're talking in, a lot of us work in visually on Zoom. People get tired looking at the screen. So how do we make things a little bit more engaging for people? So that you could be coaching individuals or coaching a group, and then they could be loading up their individual responses. And then you're reviewing it through Padlet. Just as a suggestion, you don't have to use that. But the fun thing now with all the technology that's coming out is just finding new ways of how to use it and be creative so that you can engage people.
I think that's really cool. It didn't work for me through the camera, but I used a QR scanner and that worked.
Okay, great. Okay, and really, for me, I just want to say thank you. That's your introduction to, I guess, drawing and visualization from a vocabulary perspective. And I just want to find out, I guess, does anyone still think that they can't draw or believe that they can't, or has it inspired you to actually think, oh, I actually can, and I'd like to continue on that journey?
Yeah, that was impressive. I can't draw, and I was able to tonight. So thank you. Yes.
Thank you. That's great. Really great.
And I just want to find out actually how people are feeling. Does anyone feel more relaxed than they were an hour ago?
Yep.
A little bit.
A little bit?
Yes. So in the chat, there's inspired me, I can do it, and yes.
So obviously this is a really, really, really fast introduction to something that is an extremely deep topic. But if you want to go on this journey, there is a way of doing it, which is through Vocablo. Vocablo has lots of books that you can buy. This is one on emotions and how to draw people, feelings, lots of different things. This is an incredible one which shows you the range of use that you can use visualization for. And then there's the latest one is this book on posters, which is incredible for creating journeys, taking people on amazing visual journeys, all using that technique that you've just been introduced to very, very briefly. So extremely powerful technique, very simple, easy to learn technique that you can use to start to run sessions visually. And that's it from me, unless there's any questions.
Yeah, Mark, I have a question.
Yes, Aaron.
It was a great session, and I do notice that being relaxed makes a difference. But that's not how we work. So what advice, what tips can you give when we're trying to draw under pressure or when everyone's watching?
Yeah, we have this sort of understanding or misconception that we need to fill space always with words, and it's not actually really required. So take a breath, go slow, and breathe. And it's a very nice way of just staying very present. So by drawing, people are following what you're doing. So I know some people that use these funny techniques. So sometimes you can draw an E and it can have a very small, like they call this the belly. But I know someone that actually, before they draw the E, they actually go, to make sure that they remember to draw a big belly so it doesn't do that where it's sort of, you can't actually really see it. So just by being very present on what we're doing, taking breaths and taking people on that journey, and you don't have to be going at 1,000,000 miles an hour. By drawing at a reasonable pace or at your pace, people are following along. So I'm drawing a team. They're just following the pen. And it doesn't take long. If I want to draw an audience, I can keep going with that. So my advice to that question is don't try and do something super complex. If you want to start introducing visuals, just start introducing a couple of things at a time. And those icons that we were learning, think about what ones sort of work for your context and practice those. So my daily practice is I get up in the morning, I have a coffee, and while I'm having a coffee, I'll just pick an icon and draw or take a picture I want to draw. And you're just building up your visual vocabulary so that you can just pull one of these out whenever you need, right? So you're not stressing yourself out. So it takes a little bit of practice, but you've got I mean, very quickly in 1 hour or, just over an hour, you've been shown how to do this in a very sort of simplistic way. Does that answer your question, Aaron?
It does. In fact, you demonstrated it more than you explained it because I noticed that you actually stopped talking while you're drawing, and it's okay to pause. I think I get tripped up because I try and talk through the things that I'm drawing or the words that I'm writing. And it's okay to just.
No, it's not, because someone's going to interrupt you otherwise.
And then explain it.
Yeah, and one of the things that will, a trap that you'll fall into is that now I'm in front of people, I've got to go really fast. So I can draw or write very neatly, but if I go fast, it looks like a spider sort of crawled into an inkwell and kind of drowned in the process, So making sure you just breathe, go slow, just take your time. and don't worry about it. Have some fun, right? Being agile is all about being vulnerable. If you misspell a word, who cares? I know someone who actually spelled agile wrong in front of 500 people at an agile conference, just because they were so focused on the drawing that their spelling went out the window. So, you know, just be vulnerable, have a crack. People will be much more receptive to you having a go, and you just be saying, oh, look, you know, I'm just starting this journey, but let's try it and experiment and have some fun with it. It's a nice way to show vulnerability.
I think that's a great point. I'll share a story. So I did a retrospective with a team one time, and I tried to draw a motorboat, and it did not end up well. It ended up being a sailboat because the motor just wouldn't work for me, and it had a really funky looking anchor because I turned the motor into the anchor. However, I made fun of what I did, and the team laughed and thought it was amazing, and it ended up being a really great conversation, and it didn't really damage anything. So the only person that was putting pressure on me to draw perfectly was me.
Yeah, that inner critic, get it in the bin, and then just really like practice something that you're very comfortable drawing, and then introduce that. Like I'm not going to lie to you, those people that you see, you know, who have a huge piece of paper on the wall and they record those conversations, that takes a lot of skill. That's quite stressful, even for people who've been doing it for years. Like I'm on the committee for Graphic Recorders Australia, and people who you really look up to and go, wow, they're masters of their trade. They talk about anxiety of drawing in that setting for people. So just be kind to yourself, and just, if you're going to do this, just do it one step at a time, and just introduce a little bit by little bit, and just have fun with it. And you know, I'd love to connect on LinkedIn and just experiment with it, and I'd love to hear some real life stories of how it's worked for you.
Mark, there was something you did I haven't seen before I wanted to ask about. So towards the beginning of the session, the head and the brain,
yes,
you erased the head and exposed
yeah.
the brain from behind. Can you share with us how you did that?
Sure. This is a bit of a trick with something that I'll show you. Not many people have done this, so if you do it, it'll there won't be many, that's for sure, that have seen it before. So what I'm actually doing is I've got two layers. I'm using this thing called ManyCam, and let's say I'm going to draw a good old magnifying glass. So a very quick magnifying glass. Then inside that, I'm using, I'll get a bigger one. So I've got a virtual green screen set up. So can you see my pen? That it's got holes in it. So it's like a magic pen now. So now the green pen that I'm drawing with is acting like a green screen, so that whatever's underneath it is then revealed.
Wow. That's
yeah. And that face that Sharon is pulling is exactly when head office and vocabulary explained it to me. It was like those old school problems where, you know, a train is traveling from Minnesota to so-and-so. It's traveling at 100 kilometers an hour. You know, there's 10 stops, 8 people get on at the first stop, you know, and then my brain just started going, what? But basically I've got 2 layers, and one of them is set up as like a virtual green screen. So it's not actually a green screen, but anything that I draw with my green pen. So if I switch to the other camera, which is not set up as a virtual, green screen. That's normal. Transparent layer, but it's super cool. But I was a little bit stressed out whether that would work today, because I only learned how to do that on Tuesday.
It worked. It was cool.
Yeah.
Latest and greatest.
Wow.
The latest and greatest, so hot off the press. But
Marc,
if
what was that program called?
Oh, the program I'm using is called Manycam, MANYCAM. There's also another program that you can use. It's called And they both allow you to set up a virtual camera that has multiple feeds. And then instead of selecting, if you're using Zoom, you've got this camera here, up here. I select Manycam, and then I set up what I want to feed into that app. And then I can just toggle between them. So one thing I haven't showed you actually, which I was supposed to. So if I toggle to this one, this is just what you can do with visualization, very simply. So I come from the Isle of Man, that little red place down the bottom. And I used to say to people, oh, where do you come from? And I'd answer the Isle of Man. They go, oh, where's that? It's in between England and Ireland. And then they say, is it part of Great Britain, or is it, in the UK? And I'd try and explain. And it would take an awful lot of explanation for people to understand that it's actually part of the British Isles. It's not the UK or Great Britain. So I just created this illustration just to show how you can use visualization. There's no art involved there. It's just some words, some colors, and some lines that you've learned. But I can show you the makeup of the British Isles, the United Kingdom, the relationship between Ireland and the UK, Great Britain, the Channel Islands, and the Crown dependencies, and then indicate post-Brexit for the UK, what does it look like? Just with, I think there's 25 words and a few lines and some colors. So that's really the power of it. And then, yeah, going back to that original question, so Manycam allows me to just quickly toggle from different screens, and I can add overlays like I've got over here, like my little company logo. The only thing I will say with Manycam is it uses a lot of compute resources. So you need quite a high-end computer with a dedicated graphics processor.
Very cool. A good geography lesson too.
Thanks for that.
Very nice.
Mark, you have some thank yous in the chat. I just wanted to make sure before we go that you see them.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for inviting me, and it was a lot of fun, a nice way to start my day, and a nice way to connect with some people from a different part of the world.
Thank you.
How did you end up in Australia from the Isle of Man?
I just always had this desire to travel and see the world. So I did a backpacking around the world trip, and then spent some time in Australia. And I thought, oh yeah, one day I would like to try and live there. And then I actually got a job in Hong Kong, and I thought, well, that's on the way to Australia. So I did it via a step process. So I got a job in Hong Kong, and then I was lucky enough to get a job with Goldman Sachs. So, quite a large American investment bank. And they just one day they said, oh, we've got this role in Sydney, Australia. We're looking to fill. And I went, yes. So in the end, Goldman Sachs relocated me to the place that I wanted to be.
Very cool.
So yeah, it was a bit of a journey. It took 6 years to get there, but I got there in the end.
Awesome. Well, come to Minnesota. We don't have any sharks.
But we
Not
do
one
have
day.
snakes.
So is there any questions about how you can use it in terms of day-to-day practice with Agile, or You know, I'm here. So I think, how long have we got, Ange? Another 8 minutes or something, or is it?
So we block off time until 7, so we've got 40 minutes left. But I mean, if people don't have questions, we don't have to stay. But yeah, I mean, if people have questions, definitely take advantage of Marc while he's here.
Even if you want to learn a bit more, that's fine. I'm free till 10.
I'm kind of curious. You mentioned how like you try and practice with your morning coffee. You do a new doodle each time. From people that you've worked with or that you know, what are other little habits that people put in place in their day in order to just move themselves slowly forward with their practice?
Yeah, it's just having that that time to set aside, and it doesn't. You don't have to start your day with it. You can actually be in your day and have a little practice. So are there little moments where you get some time, or try it if you're in a meeting and try, see Aaron, try listening to the discussion and try and record it and add some visuals. So actually do what they call thought sketching. So try and record the session. And if you want to practice that side of sort of live recording things, a really great way to do it is to use TED Talks. So short TED Talks of five minutes, and then just listen to it. And then just try and practice capturing, you know, when you start off, you want to write all the words or you want to draw all the pictures. So there's a real skill in that, and trying to, what is the key message that they're trying to get across? And how do I listen for and look out for those cues? Because you've got visual cues that people, when they're talking, they say, this is really important. You go, this is really important. So you're listening and going, right, okay, I'm going to capture this, or listen to what they're saying, and then go, well, what's the most succinct way of capturing that? And then what's a little image I could add after the conversation, maybe, that would help it stay in my memory bank. So just doing little things like that to just throw yourself little challenges and practice, just really helps. And you'll be amazed at how quickly you move along in this, because it's actually inside, you know, when we were living in caves, we used to draw pictures. So it's not a new thing, right? It just needs to be brought out of you again, because we draw as a child, but then society and our belief system makes us think we can't draw, because we're thinking of, you know, artistic rendering of, you know, real detail. You know, that takes a lot of work, whereas this is a little bit of work to really have fun. And that's the key for me, is that I'm actually doing work that I can then bring that creative element in and have fun at the same time. And then, you know, have other people have fun as well. So yeah, just chunk it, little chunks to bring into your day. And, you know, I'd buy a little, either moleskin notepad and some pens. The pens that we use for Vocablo are called Neuland pens, and they come in different sizes. So this is actually called a big one. And then there's smaller ones. So we use these for coloring in, these ones for drawing on flip charts. And then these are sort of smaller format ones for sketching with. And then there's the good thing about these, every part of it's replaceable. The nibs are replaceable. The inks, they're all refillable. So you buy one of these pens, it lasts for life. And they're very good quality. They're all water-based. There's no smell from them. They're not cheap, but they're incredible.
That was very helpful, the idea of listening to TED Talks and practicing, because I think that will be the hardest part for me, is knowing what to draw.
Yeah, and
I've tried doing meeting notes with that, and my brain just wouldn't, like, it was hard. Like, I'd lose the train of thought somewhere, and be lost in the meeting. So I think that practice is maybe helpful.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And there are sometimes, if you're in a training course and you're listening to the content and you're doing the sketching, there are natural times when you can add the pictures or the graphics later. So you might just be capturing some keywords and then leaving space for an image. And then there might be a discussion going on where someone asks a question, you know the answer. So there's a bit of dialogue for 5 minutes going on in the classroom, and then you're just sort of finishing your image that's really meaningful for you. So, you know, that's how I manage it, rather than trying to, you know, if you try and draw amazing images, capture all the content, that, you know, it's such a skill. And the other thing is how, if you're going to do this for an 8-hour workshop and you come with one sheet of A4, you're in trouble, right? Because you're not going to be able to fit it in. So you have to think about, well, how long is the discussion? How much paper do I need? So there's so many, like, it's way beyond just the drawing and the visualization. It's that sort of walk through in your mind, how much discussion, how long is it, how many speakers. The beautiful thing about using it is that when people speak up and you record their voice on paper, they feel heard. They know they've been heard. And that is incredibly powerful.
Something you said earlier about practicing every day, I almost wonder if that isn't like an amazing opportunity to just practice some mindfulness personally, because when you're taking those moments to practice drawing the icons or the doodles or whatever it is that you're picking to practice, you have to like shut everything out and focus on actually drawing the lines and the circles and being intent with it. And so it could be a stress reliever and calming at the same time. Do you notice that, since that's something that you do practice on a daily basis?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it just helps you really be in the present moment, because you actually you're on that line that you're drawing. You're not actually thinking about, what's for dinner or anything like that. You're actually going on that journey with that line. So you're staying in that present moment. It's so funny because people have been caught out for doodling and told off, you know, in class, for people go, hey, you're not paying attention, or why are you drawing and you're not listening? But it's such a shame. And that's why I guess it starts to get, worked out of us as children, because it's seen as a bad thing, but it's such a powerful thing to help us retain that information. I just don't know why it's not more commonplace. It's definitely becoming more commonplace in the workplace, but I'm sure there'll be someone that will say, hey, you know, pay attention. You're not listening if you're drawing something. And then if you show them and say, actually, there's an opportunity for education there, i.e. educating them on the benefits of it.
Yeah, it's part of the retention practice too, right? Because you're hearing something and then you're writing something and then you're drawing something, because you need to do something 6 times, 6 different ways to permanently digest it into your brain. And so you're actually, by giving everybody permission, giving them permission to help retain the information and in the way that's the best for them to receive it, whether that's discussion, conversation, drawing, text, reading.
And
Absolutely.
That visual that you showed before at the beginning about, you know, how drawing enables us to have a conversation. Like, you have something in your brain that you want to communicate to someone else, and you can say it and you can write it, and you can think, well, you know, I used exact words here. And if they copy the exact words, then I have control over my communication with them. I know exactly what it is that they I've transmitted the thought, exactly. But what you're implying, and I think it's true, is that the reality is that a lot can get lost along the way with that. And it can be interpreted in many different ways. And even the person receiving the words might say, well, I got those exact words. So I got that transmission. I know what they're talking about. And then the conversation stops. But whereas you're saying, you know, if you draw something, it could be bad if you draw. I mean, it could actually be a good thing if you draw it badly, because then that opens up a question. What do you mean by that? You know, is it this or is it this other thing? Well, I meant this one thing, but actually now that you bring it up, it's important to discuss this thing too that you were thinking about.
Absolutely. That's actually an example in one of the books that they talk about that by drawing something in a way that's, oh, that's actually sparking a question. Did you mean this? Then it takes you down a different path that may actually solve a problem that you've been trying to solve for a long time.
Do you notice that with the teams that you work with, Mark, that the teams start to create their own vocabularies, like by picking different icons that maybe stand for or interpret different things, and then the drawing and the visual communication gets easier once they start to do that on a more regular basis?
Yeah, definitely. I ran a session with a group of people, and I thought, they were actually UX designers, and I thought, everyone's going to be able to draw, so that they're not going to need the basics. But I ran through the similar scenario, but instead of doing like a coaching template, we actually created breakout rooms, and they were trying to create their sort of team values. So they had 7 words for their team values. So I broke them into 7 breakout groups, and then each of the breakout groups was named after one of their values. And then we said, okay, what does that mean to you? So then they started to think what that value meant to them. So they're connecting with their internals, their emotions. And then the next round was, well, draw that. So they had to then draw it simply. And then we went around the room and started combining ideas from, so if we put this drawing with this drawing, they created visuals that then went with the values that then just made them stick a lot more. And people connected with the values more because they actually went on that journey of understanding how it made them feel and how they connected personally with those values and how it connected with other people. So yes, super powerful. I was in a training course, and it was actually a certified agile leadership course with Michael and Audrey. I think it was Cal 2. And within the first 5 minutes, they got us to draw our story. And we went around the room and everyone shared their story. And I actually thought to myself, gosh, I've been working with people for 3 years, and I know more about these strangers in this classroom than people I've worked with for years. So yeah, it's really, really powerful.
Wow, that's a great story. For those of you who don't know who he's referring to when he said Michael and Audrey, he's referring to the Sahotas. They spoke with our group a couple months ago.
Is that something that a non-expert could do with the group as a warm-up or something to say, I mean, is it as simple as just saying to people, draw your story, or is this best for people who are already very comfortable with drawing, or do you need to give them some kind of a structure, like a...
Well, in that particular case, no one had drawing skills. It was just literally an instruction. So well facilitated to say, you've got X number of time, here's the pens, here's the paper. Just think about your journey and just draw it, and don't get hung up on what it looks like. So everyone drew, stick people, like mini stick people as a child, and then just expanded on it. And then, all the drawings varied quite widely with different drawing skills, but the power of it and the message was the same.
almost wonder, so Sharon, just kind of following up on what you said, I wonder if it wouldn't even be better sometimes if they didn't have drawing skills, because then they have to be vulnerable with each other, create that that trust and camaraderie that is something could take teams a long time. And here's an exercise that begins to nurture that in a very, very simple, easy way that they may not even recognize is happening.
Yep, good point, Angela.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of like the arts and crafts check-in, right? Just spend a 2 minute, 3 minute in the beginning of the meeting.
Arts and crafts check-in? I've not heard of that.
Yeah, I've done it a couple of times in retrospect. It was like we just come in and like everybody, hey, just draw what's on your mind, and we'll get into mural, and everybody will. And in mural, it's a little easier too, because you can use icons. So people will go like, you know, beach chair, a beer, some sun, and some people will draw lines, and it just lightens the atmosphere.
Yeah, you could, if you liked, you could say, I'm going to show you how to draw something simply, and you can do that, you know, that simple person. So draw you, and then show them how to draw a cloud or a sun, and then say, maybe as a check-in, just draw the weather that's above your head right now. You know, and just see what happens. It just experiment with it, and you know, if it's providing it's a safe space, then yeah, you just don't know where it's going to go or what someone's going to talk about, because someone could be feeling really, you know, really vulnerable, or really something major's going on, and it might just be enough for them to actually really open up, and it could actually save someone's life, right? If you really look at the most extreme case.
And that thing with the QR or QC code and Padlet, I could see could lend itself really well to that, because you can upload anonymously as well. So if people are not comfortable necessarily with identifying themselves with the drawing, you could still post it and people could comment.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's things like that. I showed you things like that really is just to inspire you to use it. There's so many different ways, like, you know, you can create agendas. So this is our agenda for today. I haven't moved it, but you know, check-in, introduction, the basics. We went on a bit of a visual journey, and then we did the sort of checkout. And then we have these things called mobile elements. So you could pre-draw something and then introduce those mobile elements or big stickies, and then take them on that journey. So you could have a central theme, and then this changes. So you're talking them through something and you're introducing a different topic. So there's just so much you can do with it, and just play. And those are very, very safe ways of using visualization, because you're not having to draw anything live in front of someone.
Yeah, that was cool. I was appreciating the agenda behind you earlier.
Yeah, I like the one that you drew out too and showed it to everybody. Like, here's the agenda and the journey we're going to go on today.
Yeah, I'll actually show you an agenda for Vocablo Day 1 that I did, just quickly. So this is what you can do with an agenda. So agenda day 1, this is what we do at Vocablo. We take you through basic shapes, containers, shading, color, pictograms or icons, figures, practical application, how to put it all together. And then day 2, we take you off onto a journey into outer space for the next level. And then it's, you know, handwriting, graphic recording, live recording, templates, that sort of thing. So, you know, with practice, you can do that. There's nothing, the only thing that's a bit more advanced is those people. And that just is a little bit more of a next level, but it's all highly achievable.
That's great.
And in Vocablo, at the end of day 2, people are putting posters like that together. And what's amazing, they go from not drawing or thinking they can't draw to actually drawing that, but also sharing it on social media, LinkedIn. I've had people that have gone, I never show my work, like I'm embarrassed about my work. I write on a whiteboard, my writing is terrible. And then suddenly after 2 days, they're posting things on LinkedIn going, this is amazing. And that's kind of what happened to me. I've been on this journey where I was quite unhappy in my work, program manager, agile delivery consultant, suddenly went on Vocablo and did this course and just went, I love it. And I just got lucky because when I said to the instructor, I said, oh, what's the next course I want to do? Another one, what's next level? And he said, well, if you're really interested, we need a trainer in Sydney. So 3 months later, I became a Vocablo trainer. And then I was at a Cal course, the one I mentioned before, and I asked Michael if I could draw his playbook using the Vocablo technique. And he loved it. Him and Audrey loved it. And 1 week later, I got a LinkedIn request that said, hey, we're writing a new book. Would you be interested in illustrating it for us? So, like, I'd never illustrated before. And now I do illustrations. I teach people Vocablo and I do coaching. So I'm really in my happy place. But that was all because of that course. If it hadn't, it was like the glue that pulled everything together. And I just went, this is it. Like, I can be creative at work and use it in a work context and have fun. And it was a game changer for me.
So then what inspired you to take the course? Were you just sort of throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall to see what stuck, or?
It was weird. Like, this whole journey's just been weird. It's like the universe was pushing me or directing me down this path, because I had a client when I was doing agile delivery that joined a company, and he said, you'd love this company, you should come and join us. And I said, oh, I'm kind of happy where I am now. Lie. But I wasn't really happy, but I didn't want to move. And they had the golden handcuffs. I had like employee share plan or options. But I said to him, well, if things did change, what would make me more attractive to that company? And he said 2 things: Vocablo, if you can learn it, if you can draw, and if you're certified agile leadership. And I said, okay. So I took the Vocablo course and I took the Cal, and it led to this weird journey of, I ended up illustrating a book for the people who taught me Cal. And that person who actually said, if you could draw Vocablo, it would be good. He wasn't actually trained in Vocablo, but probably a year later, he actually attended one of my courses and I taught him Vocablo. So just this really weird sort of situation.
That's interesting that that's like one of the 2 major things that he said as a non-Vocablo expert or follower, but he just knew, like, this organization values that. Why do you think that? Why was that? Was that so major for them? Or did it really work? Did they have fabulous results or something, or just the type of stuff they were doing, it was essential? Or? Yeah,
they're an agile consulting firm that they want to be different. It's deliberately different, and they want to bring that human connection. And because, Cal is really going deep inside yourself. So once you really know yourself, then you can have better human connections. So, and the other thing is having fun. So by drawing, and they don't just draw, they do Lego, they do, all sorts of fun ways of getting the message across and just helping their clients have fun. And it's really working for them. Actually, funny you should say that they're just opening an office in Canada that will cover America and Canada as well. So for any agile coaches that want to go on that journey, I'll tell you their name. They're called
Epic.
Oh,
Other
Epic.
side.
Yeah, so you can Google them and see what they're doing. And I don't get any commission from Vocablo or Epic, so I'm just sharing my journey, and you can do what you like with it.
That's great. Very cool.
There, guys, it was super fun.
Yeah, this was really good, Mark. Thank you for doing this.
No problem, my pleasure.
And I will be using this. This is not something I've seen before, so this is definitely getting reused.
Yeah.
Yeah, just add a bit of, you only need to make something look really good. You just need those two. Gray, I'm not very good with this. Gray and the black one. And you learn that shading technique, and you can do a lot. And then once you bring in color, it just takes it to the next level. But just with gray and black, you can make things look really good.
Were you artistic before Vocablo? I mean, you said that you had your little monster, but I mean, as a kid, did you love to do the drawing and felt good about it?
Yeah, as a kid, I used to draw, and I did a bit of watercolor when I was a kid, and a bit of calligraphy, like I liked. My mum is incredibly artistic. Like, she's this lady in the Isle of Man, and she has, I think it's now, is it 35,000 followers on Pinterest?
Wow.
She does flower arranging. She collects vintage handbags. She does drawing and like a little bit of sketching and little paintings and things. And yeah, so I think mum inspired us. My sister has her own sort of arts class business in the UK. And she uses art for therapy with children. So she's an art therapist. So yeah, definitely mum inspired us, but you know, I didn't draw for maybe 20 years. And then what started it was just before the Vocablo journey, someone gave me a training deck and said, it was Friday. And they said, can you run an Agile Fundamentals course for next week? I said, when? Monday. I said, you know, it's Friday now, right? And I said, do you even have a training deck, or is the expectation for me to create a training package over the weekend and then deliver the course on a Monday? And they said, yeah, we have a training deck. But I looked at it and went, my heart died. It was just so dull and dry. So I started using my little, I use, you know, a surface which you can use your stylus and draw on. So I started drawing stick people and drawing simple, like, you know, simple little visual boards to just add a bit of personality to it. And I thought, oh, I really enjoyed doing that. Like, it was just fun. It was simple drawings, but I really enjoyed it. And then it was like, oh, how could I do more of this? And then the Vocablo thing just happened to come along, and yeah, life changed. But the one thing I haven't mentioned is, you know, Vocablo teaches you how to do it large scale. With a bit of practice, you can use this and convert it to digital as well. And then if you use Miro or Mural or Canva, those type of canvases, you can create a picture or an image and then import that into Mural, and then use the stickies on Mural on top of your image. So it creates a more engaging experience for the people, rather than, you know, a blank canvas with just Post-it notes.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Very cool.
Great. Lots of great ideas. Oh my gosh. It's very cool.
Yeah, I think really we're just scratching the surface of what can be done with it. And just right now, that that time with obviously what's going on in the world and all these new tools that are coming out. Really, it really plays nicely to it. Plus, you know, if people are getting a bit tired of the Zoom thing, if anything you can do to make it more fun.
Yeah.
Mark, you mentioned day 1 and then the rocket takeoff to day 2. Is there anything after day 2? Does Vocablo have additional classes, or do they come up with new things and add on periodically?
Yeah, Vocablo, I'll put, I think I've got I'll drop the link to Vocablo in the chat. So that should take you to Vocablo. There's the 2-day course, which is the basics. Then there's the advanced or storytelling. So it shows you how to tell stories with the visuals. So you can create storyboards. There's how to draw they call them Muppets, but it's how to draw like a quick version of, let's say, Ange or me. So you can actually add people's personality to it. So that's advanced. And then there's also a coaching program called Extra Class, which helps integrate the basics that you've learned into your day to day. So that's like a 10-session coaching program. And then there's actual visual Scrum. So there's like a Vocablo Basics version that introduces it for Scrum as well. And then they have master classes and things like that, but there's graphic recording, there's you know, visual facilitation, and obviously all those incredible books that they've produced.
Wow. Is there a book that you would recommend the most? What's your favorite one?
I think bang for buck. There are 2. I mean, they're all amazing. I started off with one, and then I've got the whole lot. But this one is really good.
The Emotions.
The Emotions, and that has that kind of more advanced sort of way of technique of drawing people. So you know that's very, very powerful. Positive emotions, negative, sort of team situations. And then this one, which is, you can tell it's so well used because the cover's fallen off. It's Vocablo 2, but that has like more templates in there. It also shows you sort of some people, different icons in different sort of situations. But then it also goes into areas like information technology, marketing, projects, how to run, teamwork and leadership sort of icons and things like that. Personal development, so lots of things for personal development. And then running seminars, so for creating visuals for seminars. And then methods and techniques, so it's got things for open space, if anyone's run open space, World Cafe. So that's a very good book too, Vocablo 2. And then I just absolutely adore this one, because this is where my heart is at for creating, like the power of this one. If I show you, yeah. So using that technique, you can create like a really nice urban space and then take people on a journey.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's probably, you know, for graphic recording or the top end of town. That's, I guess, the North Star to get to that. But, you know, the thing that I like about this is it's got really great posters for coaching. So, you know, this is talking about the inner team, inner dialogue that's going on. So you can really sort of use it for, and see how easy they are to draw.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Even the one that you showed that had the more landscape one, you know, looking at that before realizing that everything breaks down into lines, dots, dashes, circles, you can actually look at it intentionally now and see, you're absolutely right. It's really just lines and triangles and squares, and yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah.
I think
yeah,
I
and
need to buy a
just
couple books.
just keeping that that inner critic at bay, in that bin, you know.
Mhm. Oh, love it.
Well, I want to be respectful of your time, Mark. You've spent almost 2 full hours with us, and we genuinely appreciate you being here and spending all of this time with us. So thank you.
Yeah, it was amazing.
My pleasure. Thanks everyone for staying and coming on the journey. And I really hope it inspires you to start playing with it and seeing where it takes you, because it could really change your career. Like, you could accelerate your growth within an organization, because you'll be different to other people. You have an advantage.
Cool.
Yep.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much. Bye, everyone. Have a great evening.
Have a great day.
Have a great day.